everyone. Welcome to Science Buffs, the ultimate podcast for STEM enthusiasts. I'm Sam,
And I'm Abby.
and we have a great topic for you today. It's my turn to present, but first, I want to know what's new with you, Abs.
Well, I put in my 2-week notice for work
That is so
like a week
exciting.
ago. So I'm going to be a stay-at-home mom. Woo, 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 woo.
Woo! No, you're a stay-at-home pod mom,
Yes, I'm
podcasting
a
mom.
podcaster and then a stay-at-home mom.
Yeah, first podcaster
Yeah,
first,
podcast
then
first, mom.
uh-huh.
Yeah. So I have one more full day of work and then I hand in my badge. I hand in my computer. So we say
That
we're
is
two engineers,
crazy.
but soon there will only be one
Yeah, that's fair.
singular engineer on this podcast. So
You're
yeah, I'm
still an
excited.
engineer. You have record that you have a degree, so that's what
Right. I
matters.
do have a nice diploma to show everyone if they ask, it's fine. So
Yes.
so yeah, so that's exciting. That's like the big news now. And like, once you know that you're about to be done, like the last few days are just real long. It's like
The senioritis.
yeah, like I was fine and motivated like before break and I was like, okay, at some point in the new year. And then over break, I was like, I'm out. And ever since then, it's been a struggle. I'm trying to get a couple things done to leave my manager in like a better spot. And like I ended up having to do them tonight because the motivation is just it's tough. It's tough going.
Yeah, but you're so
So
close.
yeah, I'm
Collect
right
that last
there.
paycheck and then
I'm
you can
right
check out.
there. Yeah. So I'm excited. It'll be good. So
That's
what's new with
amazing.
you?
I went to New York City last weekend, so that was really
Ooh.
fun. I've been there before, but I've never stayed there. And one of our really good friends from college lives there. And so it was kind of cool to like stay with somebody that lives the New York experience.
Yeah, because she's been
So
there for a
yeah.
while now, right?
Yeah,
Didn't she get
five
there pretty much
years.
right after? Or maybe not right after, but
Yeah, so it was super fun. I ate her significant other is a big foodie, and so he knew all the best places in town to eat.
that's
So
awesome.
I had probably some of the best food I've ever had in my life
Wow.
in like last weekend. So I had like Persian food,
Mm.
Singapore food. I don't know how you say that.
Singaporean?
Singaporean food.
I don't know. I don't think
I don't
that's right.
know. And then I got a classic New York pizza, and it was
Oh,
literally amazing.
did you
I
happen to
gained
look up
5 pounds.
yeah, that I mean, honestly, like I'm surprised you didn't gain more because their food is so good.
So good.
I feel like it's easy to diet in like where we live because it's all just chain restaurants. But in New York, like you got actual food.
Yeah, you have so many options, and like it upsets me because they're both super fit people. And then
I
I'm just
know.
like, well, I feel like I don't deserve to eat this food. But
Yeah, a trip is a time to splurge. So
oh, it was
you did the
fun.
right thing.
Yeah. Yeah, we
Yeah.
walked like 20,000 steps one day, so it wasn't a big deal to offset it.
Did you look at Dave Portnoy's like pizza reviews before you went to scout out the place?
No, is that like a big thing?
Yeah, where it's the one bite, everyone knows the rules, and then he like eats the whole slice of pizza and then he rates them. But it's like all throughout New York.
What?
So when I was there with my cousin, we like looked up his reviews and went to like one of his highest ranked ones. Did not disappoint. It was so good.
What? That's
Yeah.
crazy.
You should look up the place you went and see if he's reviewed it.
I know. It was kind of crazy. So she had her birthday while I was there. So we ordered, well, her significant other ordered a ton of pizza from this place and like pasta and stuff. So I didn't actually
Oh
get to go
wow.
there. I actually have no idea what it was called, but it was really good.
Well, as long as it was good, that's what's important.
That's what matters. Yeah.
Cool. So, well, that sounds fun.
Yeah. So
Good
that's
trip.
what's new with me. I think we're all healthy now, so that's good.
Thank God.
Yeah,
It's
that was
been
rough.
it's been a month. So we're good though. I'm glad everyone's healthy. I'm gonna like probably not leave the house except for to see you for brunch and then come right back.
Yeah, I don't blame you. Like, if I don't get some kind of disease from the New York City Metro,
Yeah.
I will be
Seriously.
shook. Absolutely shook.
Yeah, I think I told you I like ordered all those supplements and stuff and I started taking them and I'm now taking like 9 pills or something every night. I'm like, I will never get sick again.
Your like vitamin D content is just like through
Literally,
the roof.
it's off the charts. So
You're gonna start like glowing.
I know I'm gonna be like neon, just like I'm so
So
healthy.
many vitamins.
Yeah. So good. I'm glad you're all healthy. Glad you're back. Glad you had a fun trip.
Thank you. Should we dive into our topic?
I guess so. It's funny because I always think that it's like a big surprise, but the people who are listening to the podcast have seen the title. I'm like, we can't say the
Oh,
topic.
that's so true.
Like they
I
definitely have
didn't
read
think
it.
about that.
So you know the
Yeah.
topic before me.
Hopefully, barely. No, I'm just kidding. Okay.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. So I didn't write down my clues, so I'm totally winging it here. But it relates to your previous topic a little bit.
Okay. Scuba diving.
No, that's a good guess.
Okay.
But it's not close at all.
Okay, great.
Based on
Okay.
the clue I gave you, it was a good guess.
Okay. Good guess. You
Okay.
are a mile away.
It has to keep humans alive in an unfamiliar environment.
Okay.
Unfamiliar environment.
Hmm. I don't know.
It also has eclipse systems.
Is that the third clue?
Yeah.
Shoot. Can you
I'll give you another
elaborate
clue.
as
I'll
to
give
what
you
the
one more clue.
unfamiliar environment is?
Space.
What? The ISS?
Yeah.
Woo!
So, yes. So I didn't do the whole ISS. I mean, I give an overview, but I'm mostly going to talk about the ecosystems because
Very
I
cool.
find that interesting. So, you guys have already heard Abby's topic last week was submarines. And I think I kind of like was able to draw a lot from that because I took a class in college, like an elective, and it was called Humans in Spaceflight. And our project was to design an environmental control and life support system, ECLIS system for the International Space Station. Um, and they can like, in space,
Very
it's
on
like a
topic.
yeah, so it's very similar. And when you were going through all of the ECLIS systems on the submarine, I was like, oh, we should do the ISS.
That's
So,
cool. Did you know I worked on Eclipse systems for Orion?
oh my God, I totally forgot about
Like
that.
my whole internship was like Eclipse stuff when I
I
first
totally forgot
graduated.
about that.
Yeah, it's cool. It's like the best subsystem for sure, in my opinion. Definitely
Yeah,
most
that's
interesting.
interesting. You should
Yeah,
talk about it a little at the end, like if you want.
yeah. Like
That's
I don't know
amazing.
if you want.
One thing I wanted to mention, was like shout out to my parents because when I was younger, when I was like in elementary school and middle school, they used this like website that would tell you when the ISS is flying over your house or
Wow,
like whatever. So we used to go on like night walks to go to the
that's
local
cool.
park and like you can see the ISS flying over. It's really cool. And you guys should do that before the ISS eventually dies.
Yeah, there's also like this Stargazer app now that like can track like all the constellations, but also it shows where the ISS is,
Yeah.
which
I
is
I forgot
helpful.
about that one. Did
You
I
can also
ever
like
tell you?
search in the bar. It's kind of interesting. Like you can just search for any star and it's augmented reality, so it'll like give you an arrow to move your camera to anywhere that it is so you can see it. And then
Oh,
hold it.
really?
Yeah,
That
it's
is
pretty
so
neat.
cool. Did I ever tell you that I made a commercial for that for one of my
What?
classes in college?
No?
It's I still have it. It's really terrible.
That's awesome. I want to see.
Yeah,
We got to post that on the Instagram.
we don't,
Yeah,
but
it's fine. We don't have that many followers at the moment, so the ones that are following us get a little treat, maybe
yeah,
an incentive to follow.
it was never made to see the light of day. But the whole premise of the project was studying space junk. And
Okay.
so we had to like I don't remember why, but like we had to make an advertisement for this app that can track space junk to like better inform people about yeah. but it was
Okay,
super
we're
fun.
definitely watching that.
Yeah. So, let's dive in. Do you know any interesting facts about the International Space Station?
Not really. Wasn't it like, well, okay, I can probably try a couple. Wasn't it launched like in pieces and then assembled when it was up there?
Yeah, that's a good one. It took, so the ISS took 10 years and more than 30 missions to assemble, which
Whoa, I didn't
is
realize it was that long.
crazy. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah. So to put it into perspective, I have like on how big it is, I have some interesting facts. So the International Space Station is larger than a six-bedroom house with six sleeping quarters, two bathrooms, a gym, and a 360-degree view bay window. So,
Wow. Okay. That's much
yeah.
bigger than I imagined. I always imagine it as this like tiny little claustrophobic tube.
And I feel like it probably feels that way with all the equipment on
Yeah.
it. But it is like fun fact, the class that I learned about the eclipse systems in, my professor was an astronaut who had been to the ISS, I think at least twice.
Oh, wow.
And he said some of the best sleep he ever got was on the ISS. And
I wonder
sometimes he
why
still
that is.
wishes.
That's interesting.
I think it's the zero gravity. Just like you have
Right.
no pressure or soreness in your body. You're just floating.
Okay. That makes
But
sense.
he also said it smells really bad.
Oh, really? I imagine.
Yeah.
Okay, that is so different than what I would think. I would think it
Yeah.
smells like nice and pristine and like super clean and sterile.
Nope. He said it smells
Crazy.
very bad, like BO.
Oh, I guess I
So
could see that.
I found that interesting because there's like maybe not great ventilation, but uh, okay. So another fun fact is five space agencies, including NASA, Roscosmos, ESA, which is the European Space Agency, which you're
Mhm.
familiar with Orion,
Yes.
JAXA, which is the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency, and CSA, which is the Canadian Space Agency, contributed to the station's assembly.
Hmm. Okay.
Yeah. So
Wait, you
the
said
space,
Russian, sorry, Russian, Japan, and US. And was there another one?
yeah, it's
Oh, European.
I don't is Roscosmos Russia? I think it is.
I think
Roscosmos,
so. I feel like there's
ESA,
always Russian
JAXA.
astronauts up there. So I
Yeah,
would imagine it's
interesting.
Russia. But
Yeah, that would make
okay.
sense.
Cool.
Um, the space station has been continuously occupied since November 2000. So 23 years.
Yeah,
24 years.
I guess you couldn't oh yeah, 24. I guess
Isn't
that's
that
true that you
crazy?
couldn't have someone like it just floating up there alone. They
Yeah,
probably wouldn't want that, but it's kind of
it's just
wild.
chilling.
Yeah.
Yeah. So actually it's like a quick clarification on the previous one. It's 15 countries because the European Space
Oh,
Agency
okay.
makes up a bunch of countries.
Right. Okay, it's different
So that's
agencies, I
like one
guess.
thing to know. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah. So an international crew of seven people live and work while traveling at a speed of 5 miles per second, orbiting Earth about every 90 minutes. So sometimes more are aboard the station during what they call a crew handover. So, like,
Okay,
when you're switching.
right.
Yeah. So another fun fact is in 24 hours, which you can kind of do the math based off of the last fact I said, but in 24 hours, the space station makes 16 orbits of Earth, traveling through 16 sunrises and sunsets. Wouldn't that be so cool?
Wow, that is awesome. That
I
would be
know.
so disorienting.
So
I feel like
disorienting,
I've
but
lived
amazing.
literally 1,000 days.
Literally. I know, which kind of leads into my next topic. So, Peggy Whitson, are you familiar with like why she's a famous astronaut?
I should be, but no. I've probably heard of her, but I forget.
So she set the record, the US record, for spending the most time living and working in space.
Hmm.
Take a guess how many days she
Well,
lived and worked.
I thought it was our astronaut guy at CU who spent like a year.
No.
I don't know. I have to guess.
665 days.
Consecutively?
Yes. No, it doesn't say,
Okay,
so I don't think so. It says total time. Okay, yeah. So I think that's the good point because I think Scott Kelly has the
right.
most consecutive days,
Oh, that
but
makes
Peggy
sense.
Whitson has the most total days.
I gotcha.
So
Okay.
that's
Wow,
good
660
clarification.
days is wild.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
Yes.
You'd have to worry about
Well,
like
you
your
might talk
bones
about it.
atrophying.
Yes, I was just gonna say, that was literally what I was gonna say. Like her
Hmm.
bones, if she wasn't doing her compression exercises and stuff, like her bones would just snap.
You're like reading my mind because my next fact was to
This is
mitigate the
like,
loss of muscle
yeah, sorry,
and bone
go
mass.
ahead.
No, 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 you contribute like, but it's the same thing. To mitigate the loss of muscle and bone mass in the human body in microgravity, astronauts have to work out at least 2 hours a day.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I think about this more than I should, probably. This is one of my frequently thought about things that was just
The
like,
Roman Empire.
yeah, pretty much that an astronaut just has to like strap in to like so they don't just float away and then work out while they're strapped down. And you have to do that so your bones don't break when you come back. That is insane to me.
Yeah,
And then we're just like, yeah, just, we figure out some protocol for it so that it's all fine. But like the fact that that just happens and their bones were just atrophying, crazy.
crazy.
We
I
think about it
know.
often.
Yeah. This one's kind of generic, but it's astronauts and cosmonauts. So astronauts are US, cosmonauts are Russian. Regular, right? Just Russian.
Is that the only difference? The country?
I'm pretty sure. I
I
might
thought
have
it
to
was
verify that.
I thought it was where they went.
No, I think it's their country of origin.
Okay.
That's a great question, though.
Let me
We'll
just
clarify.
let me just quickly do a Google while you continue your next fact.
Yes, I was just going to say they regularly conduct spacewalks for space station construction, maintenance, and upgrades. So that one's kind of generic, but one interesting thing was my professor who flew to the space station multiple times. He said that he actually had multiple spacesuits. He had one US made spacesuit and he had one Russian made spacesuit, and they pressurized them to different PSI. It's kind of interesting.
Wow. That's cool.
Yeah.
You are correct. Cosmonauts are people trained and certified specifically by the Russian Space Agency, and astronauts are trained and certified by NASA, ESA, CSA, or JAXA.
Oh, okay. So astronauts includes Japan and then
Yeah.
ESA. Got it. It's
Yes.
cosmonauts is just Russia. Okay, that makes sense.
Interesting.
And then my last interesting fact is the solar array wingspan is 356 feet, which is 109 meters, which is crazy. And it's longer than the world's largest passenger aircraft, the Airbus A380.
Wow. In a
So
football
that kind of
field,
like, yes.
which I
Yeah,
can,
isn't that crazy? Oh, wait, I
yeah.
have one more fact.
Oh, yeah.
8 miles of wire connects the electrical power system throughout the space station.
Wow. That's insane.
That's insane. That's like me to your house, maybe.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. Might be more
Yeah,
than that.
around there.
Yeah.
Wow. That is, yeah, I just
Okay.
always, that is so much bigger than I just always imagine. Like, rationally, if you think about it, it has to be kind of big.
Yep.
But wow, that's huge.
Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to get in a little bit more of the overview. So the ISS has been in orbit for 25 years and has had visitors of over 270 plus astronauts, which is crazy.
Yeah. Actually, that's kind maybe how long, do you know how long each shift is usually? Like Peggy spent
That's a great
660 days, but
question.
like how long is a normal crew up there?
That's a great question. I would assume it depends based off of what their like research or mission is, you know?
Right, right.
But I wonder how long their I actually don't know this. That'd be a great thing to ask, like how long their food supply is. It's food and water,
Oh, yeah,
so like how long maximum they could survive up there.
right.
I don't know, without
Interesting.
getting more stuff. Yeah. So that's interesting. But the Space Station, I'm gonna call it the ISS from now,
Okay, yeah.
was designed between 1984 and 1993, which is so crazy to think
Wow.
about.
Okay.
That's only like 20 years after the space race, which to me,
Right.
like the technology that you would go from like the
Right.
Apollo missions to building a space station is wild. Um,
Assembling it up there seems like a whole other level of, you've mastered it basically. It's like assembling it mid orbit.
yeah, it's crazy.
That is impressive.
Yeah. So I want to go through the timeline a little bit of the ISS.
Okay.
So um, in 1984, on January 25th, Ronald Reagan directs NASA to build the International Space Station.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah.
I didn't know it
And
was him.
then, yeah, in 1998, so it took a while after that,
Yeah.
the first ISS segment launches in 1998. Which is crazy, aboard the Zarya control module, launched aboard a Russian Proton rocket, which is interesting. I had no idea that the first piece to the ISS was launched by the Russians,
Yeah. That's
especially like, again, not,
when we
you
called
know,
for it. We're like,
that's
let's
very
build an
interesting.
ISS. Russia, go launch it.
You in? Yeah.
You in? All right.
Down to build the ISS. Yeah, so the first US built component launches just like a month later
Okay.
in 1998. So we're just a little later on that one.
Just a
um,
quick side note, but I keep thinking about the 16 sunsets. Can you imagine how infuriating it would be if you were like an astronaut on the ISS and you were witnessing like 16 sunsets a day and then people were saying that the Earth is flat?
oh, yeah.
You're like,
It
oh,
just goes around the flat.
like, oh my gosh. I've had day, night.
Oh my
I'm
God.
orbiting. Anyway,
That would be hilarious. Oh my
okay,
goodness.
continue. Sorry.
No, that's okay. The first crew to reside on the station happened in 2000. So, like 2 years
Okay,
after the first piece went up, which is crazy.
that's a quicker turnaround. Like, I guess you have to build it all um on the ground first here,
Yeah.
but it took like however many years to get it built, and then very quick assembly, relatively.
Yeah. There was three astronauts. One of them was, or there was one astronaut, two cosmonauts, were the first crew to
Okay,
reside on board the station. Expedition One is what they called it. Spent 4 months on board, completing tasks necessary to bring the ISS to quote life, and begin what is now more than 20 years of a continuous human presence in space.
that would be so scary
Yeah. So one
to be the
interesting
first
thing
three.
So one thing I learned in college that was just randomly talking to my roommate that I was currently living with was I was like, isn't it crazy to think that there's literally people in space right now? And
Yeah,
she's like, yeah, that is crazy. So I Googled how many people are in space right now. There
yeah.
is a website I verified before this, it still exists, called how many people are in space right now.com. And it gives you just a number. So in case you're curious, you can just
Yeah,
Google that, and then it lists their names. So
that's crazy.
pretty exciting.
Not every human has been on the earth for like 20 years. We've always been like minus a few.
Yeah, that's so true.
For
Oh my
20
gosh.
years. Wow. That's
Yeah,
funny. I'm gonna
so
look that up.
how
That's
many
like
people are
the
in space right now.com. They have an
yeah.
app too. That's what it said. In case you're wondering.
Such a specific site.
Yeah, it's very
That's
specific.
funny.
Um okay, so the US lab module was added in 2001.
Okay.
So they call it Destiny, and it became part of the station in 2001. It increased the onboard living space by 41%. So it continues to be the
Wow.
primary research lab for US payloads. Japan and the European labs, they have two separate labs, joined the ISS in 2008.
Okay.
And one interesting thing is the first ISS National Lab research flight was in September 30th, was on September 30th, 2013.
Mhm.
And it was more of a, instead of government funded research, it was more of like a publicly funded research.
Okay.
So
Cool.
that was kind of the first introduction to doing that as well.
Interesting. I also Googled how long an expedition is normally, because the first one was 4 months. It says they can be up to 6 months, and then they switch crews. So
That's pretty long if you think about it. Like that's a lot of food
very,
for how many
yeah,
people did I say? 6 people?
yeah. It
That's a
said
lot.
2 to 7, anywhere between 2 to 7. Can you imagine just being with one other person up there for 6 months? You're like, we're the only two people on Earth up here.
Yeah, that's
A lot
you
about the
better hope that
ISS,
you
I
don't
feel like,
hate
is
each
kind of
other.
trippy. Like, I wonder what the culture shock is coming back to Earth.
Yeah, you better hope that you don't hate each other living up
Yeah,
there. I mean,
I
I'm
feel
sure there's been some,
oh, there's been
throwdowns.
some
Just
tiffs for sure. Yeah. Wonder if there's been a fist fight on the ISS in
what would
zero
that look
gravity.
like? Put
You're
them
like,
up.
strap into your workout equipment so we can actually fight.
Oh my goodness. Okay. So that was kind of a long overview of the ISS, but now
Very
we're going to
cool.
move into the ecosystem. Okay, so we're going to get into the environmental control and life support system. ECLIS is as it's fondly known. I don't know why I
Rangers
said it
here,
like that.
as it
Oh
is
my gosh.
fondly known.
I know. Can you hear him? Sorry.
Only a little bit.
Um,
Sam has, I think we started over, but Sam has a beautiful Great Dane, and he's very cute.
yeah.
So,
And he can't see very well. So
oh
when he
no,
sees reflections in glass, I think it kind of bothers
mm,
him.
that
So,
makes sense.
yeah. So if you hear him, I'm sorry, but we will continue. He just
Yes,
must not really like the topic, but that's okay.
he hates the ISS.
So, a little bit of background on why an ecosystem is important. So, here on Earth, we have natural life support systems provided by our environment. You know, the air we breathe, the water we drink, and other conditions support life. When you're in space, you don't have any of those things.
Yes.
So, for us to survive in space, we have to create a manufactured, essentially like Earth replica, for us to live in space. Um, so the ECLIS system includes three key components: the water recovery system, the air revitalization system, and the oxygen generation system. So these were jointly tested in the ISS at the Marshall Center, the Marshall Space Flight Center. I've never been there, by the way, and I would really like to go there.
Where is
Um,
that?
that's a fantastic question. I have no idea.
Yeah, I don't know like any of the space centers,
Yeah,
but
so I would really love to go visit that. But so we're first going to talk about the water recovery system. So the water recovery system
oh,
provides.
I'm sorry. It's in Alabama. That's where that
Oh, okay.
space camp is. Remember, like as kids, did you ever see the space camp where like you could go as a
Yeah.
kid and do
Did
like
you
the zero
go?
gravity? No, I didn't, but like you could go for like a week-long camp, and I was
Yeah, I don't
jealous of
think
all
that
the
I was smart
kids
enough for
who
that.
got to go. Anyway, I'm sorry, I interrupted, but
No, I'm glad you're like my little Google
yeah,
over
maybe
there.
the other person can fact check because like all my episodes, like you ask really good questions and then I have no idea what the
Yeah,
answer
we'll
is.
do that.
So
We'll have
okay,
the other person ready to fact check things.
perfect.
Okay, so the first one that I mentioned, the water recovery system, it provides clean water by reclaiming wastewater, which includes water from crew members' urine. I remember learning about
Wow.
that.
And
Um,
wow. I didn't
yeah,
realize they
so
were doing that.
I know. So, cabin humidity, condensation, and water from the hydration system inside crew members' EVA suits. And EVA is extravehicular activity suits.
Okay.
This recovered water that they're collecting must meet stringent purity standards for
Mm.
them to essentially then use the water. One thing I read was they require all the crew to drink at least half a gallon of water a day, which I should
Oh,
probably do, but I always forget to drink water. So,
yeah, me too.
yeah. So, water produced by the urine is combined with all other wastewater and delivered to a water processor for treatment. The water processor sends the water through a series of multi-filtration beds and a catalytic oxidizer for purification. So it's
That's probably
really
the
clean urine that you're drinking.
that's probably the system they really hope doesn't break.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oof.
I found this part interesting. I didn't know this. The water purity is checked by electrical conductivity sensors in the system. So they check to
Oh,
see how
interesting.
pure it is. So it's not like it's gonna break and then you end up drinking like
Right.
straight urine.
It would alert you.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
And if it's unacceptable, it's reprocessed. So that's
Mm,
kind of interesting.
okay.
Um, so currently, the water recovery system is capable of recovering and recycling about 90% of water on the station, which is really
Wow.
good if you
That's
think about
really
it.
good. Why don't
Yeah.
we should have that in homes.
Honestly, we should but I wonder how much energy that takes.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So
Probably a
it's,
decent amount.
yeah. But
So,
yeah, the trade-off
yeah, that's
is
kind of interesting.
interesting. So the second system is the air revitalization system. So this is like kind of similar to actually what you talked about on the submarine. So it's dedicated to cleaning and circulating that cabin air that we talked
Okay.
about that doesn't smell very good.
Right.
So this involves removing trace contaminants produced by electronics, plastics, and human off-gassing,
Oh,
including
oh, what a gross
off-gassing.
term.
Yeah, including carbon dioxide exhaled by the crew during normal respiration. And
Okay.
these trace contaminants are removed by flowing cabin air through three separate units,
Okay.
including an activated charcoal bed, a
Mm,
catalytic oxidizer, which I'm and a lithium hydroxide bed. And I'm pretty
okay.
sure you mentioned the lithium hydroxide um,
Yeah, I think,
cleanser process in the submarine.
yeah.
Um, and then carbon dioxide is removed using molecular sieves, and it's materials that separate and capture gases based off of their different sizes.
Wow.
So I thought that was really interesting. So that's how they have purified oxygen to breathe.
Wow. That is cool. That's complex. I'm surprised
Yeah.
more of these haven't, I mean, I guess they have maintenance missions and stuff, but to have, you think about like if you buy a house and things break down so easily, and then it would be like life or death if one of these broke down up there, and it's been going for 25 years.
Yeah, that'd
That's
be
good.
interesting. I don't remember from class or reading anything like how redundant these systems are.
Right. I would imagine,
Um,
I guess, that they're probably pretty redundant since they're keeping everyone alive, but
yeah, it's
be
like kind of
interesting.
important.
A little.
Just a little important. And then the very last part of the ecosystem was the oxygen generation system. And it produces oxygen for the crew to breathe. So obviously that's very important.
Yep.
It consists of oxygen generation assembly and the carbon dioxide reduction assembly. The oxygen generation assembly is composed of a cell stack, which electrolyzes or breaks apart water provided by the water recovering system. So they're using the water recovery system to generate oxygen.
Wow.
Um,
That's cool.
yeah, and because the water recovery system yields oxygen and hydrogen as a byproduct of its
Hmm.
process.
Okay. Very cool.
That's a helpful byproduct.
Yeah, extremely.
Yes. And then the hydrogen is vented to space or fed to the carbon dioxide reduction assembly.
Okay.
Yeah. And the byproducts of this process are methane, which is released into space because obviously that's not helpful. So,
Yeah.
yeah. So, just to like kind of wrap it up, this article that I'm referencing talks about the future, which I felt was interesting, especially because ecosystems are going to have to be very robust if we're going to do deep space travel or traveling to Mars.
Hmm.
You would not be able to waste any resources, right? Because you're not able
Right.
to have a crew come up and like replenish those resources.
Hmm.
So there's just a lot of really complex engineering that needs to take place before we're able to do that, essentially. And they have to become very efficient.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting.
Wow. That was a good one. I like that topic.
Yeah. One last thing I wanted to note, and I thought this was so cool, and I'm going to link it in our stories, but they have a daily blog on what they've done in the ISS that specific day.
Wow.
Uh,
That's awesome.
yeah, so today, the day we're recording this podcast, They specifically mentioned that the space biology and life support maintenance were the main focus for the crew today. The orbital residents aboard the ISS also studied future piloting techniques and fluid physics, rounding out their resource schedule. And so I thought that was very interesting. If you want to know the goings on,
Wow.
I'll link this
Yeah,
and you
that's definitely
can,
something we should follow along with. That's really fascinating.
yeah. So I thought that was really neat.
Cool.
But I
Yeah,
hope you liked it.
I did. We've been doing a lot of like exploration stuff. I like it. I
So
like the
would you,
themes.
yeah, I know, but like I wouldn't go on a submarine. Like, would
Oh,
you go on the
no.
ISS?
No.
I wouldn't either.
I mean,
I don't
no,
think.
well, I guess I would go on the ISS in theory, but I would not go on the rocket ship to get there.
Got it. That's fair. That's
Like the
fair.
ISS seems like it is stable enough where I
Yeah.
could trust it.
I mean, it's been going for
It's
like,
got a track
what did I
record
say,
now.
24 years?
Yeah,
So
yeah, we got some history behind it. It's fine. A lot of good systems you told me about that I feel confident in.
the
But
ecosystems you worked on,
yeah, the launch seems sketchy.
chaotic. Yeah,
Yeah, a
intense.
little. Yeah. So, yeah, no,
Yeah.
I'm not going to be going under the water and I'm not going to be going in space. We're good on land.
We'll stay right here. That
Yeah.
sounds great.
Yeah, for sure. Well, good topic. Thanks for presenting it. Hopefully, you guys all learned some good stuff about the ISS. Thank you for tuning into the podcast. Make sure to subscribe on whatever platform you are listening to us on. We're also on video. So if you're more of a YouTube watcher, go over to YouTube, subscribe there, and leave us a review. That would be super helpful. And we will see you next week for well, actually, we'll see you Monday for the bonus episode about Sam's trip to Japan. And yeah, we'll see you then. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everyone.